This episode was really put out and laid out kind of the ground rules and how everything works with the card system, and really just showed us the strength of Gon and Killua's friendship. Hunter x Hunter, Episode 61, Invitation and Friend.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and hunters and Greed Island players of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed and next-gen video game-filled tale of Hunter x Hunter. And, of course, I say next-gen loosely, just kind of goofing around, because even though this anime was actually, has been around over the last couple of years, and they've tried to update some things. It's obviously based off of the manga that, started back in, I think, like 98 or something like that, if I remember correctly. So, at this point in the manga, they were probably in the early 2000s, and maybe we had PlayStation, or maybe PlayStation 2s probably at the time. So, nonetheless, though, very cool stuff. The last episode really just saw us with, Gon and Killua, and the other participants that were chosen by Mr. Batera and of course Sagara, to enter into the game, to enter into Greed Island. We saw them, kind of getting... Gon really got the rules laid out for him, but it's obviously what everybody gets as they come into the game, and really Gon wound up... the significant thing of it was that Gon found out that his father, Jing, is still an asshole, and just, no clues or anything like that in the game as to how to find him. He just figured, he wanted to show off the game that you can live or die in, by the way, and there's a great chance of death, but he just wanted to show it off to his, to his kids. So that's how things left off. Gon was in there at the starting point, waiting for waiting for Killua, sorry. And in this episode really just kind of laid the groundwork, as far as I was concerned, for explanations on how this MMO RPG works. And that's really what it is. It's collecting items and then using them in a manner similar to like a Magic the Gathering game. Something along those lines, where you have spell cards, you have Yu-Gi-Oh! Is another card game that's similar to that, where you can have these cards for defense, trap cards, you can have offensive spells, things like that. So we wind up finding out as Gon gets in there. He was the first one in, and if you remember, he had to wait for, said he was going to wait for Killua at the starting point. Killua was 17th to enter, I believe, so towards the end. So anyway, as everybody's entering and him and Killua get in there, they decide to go and start walking towards, in one direction, and all of a sudden a player just appears out of nowhere, out of the sky, and pulls out his spell book and starts using. He uses this card on him that basically looks and sees what they have, and he uses it on Killua to see what cards they have and everything else. Determines that he's kind of a newbie, and then he winds up going and taking and actually using this trace spell card that he uses on him, that Killua tries to dodge, and winds up the spell hits him. And what was great about this and significant about this is not the spell that was put on him, it was the look that came off of Killua's face, dude. After, it was just animated so wonderfully. After that spell hit him, he looked at this guy, and then of course just the lighting and everything else, it lowers, and he just got that killing intent look, that intense look, that look that when you were a kid and your mother or father ever say, if looks could kill, you'd be dead, that was a look that could kill, right? If looks could kill, Killua would have wiped out anybody within his field of vision with this, and I just love seeing that, because I look at them and I look at like this little, skateboard, purple shoes wearing fella, and I'm thinking, man, this dude he's dangerous on a whole different level. Anyway, the guy winds up going using another spell card that, because he sees that, he feels that aura coming off of Killua, and he winds up using this spell card that takes him out of there and gets him to the closest town, or not the closest town. I believe it was what was it called? I think I wrote it down here. Macedora. Yeah, Macedora, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to remember some of the names of it. Macedora, the city of magic. And this card that he used warped him back to there. So anyway, Gon and Killua go on their way, and they wind up coming upon another town, Anticobo. Anyway, and it's like the town of prizes, and they see all these different things you can participate in up on like the monthly board for getting different items, the sword of truth, of this, that. They wind up going to chow down at a local restaurant and eat up, and they find out a little bit about cards, right? And how you can obtain these. And the cards, they have two different sequencing of numbers. In the top left corner of the card, the number there represents the actual card's number. Now, if you remember, to beat the game, you have to collect card numbers 0 through 99, the specific item slot cards. Other ones that obviously are numbered higher than that can go in one of your 45 free slots to be used. And I'm assuming those are like spell cards, trade cards, whatever, those type of things, right? You know, extra cards that you could use to maybe trade with another. But nonetheless, though, we find out, too, in the top right corner that there's a ranking system, and the first portion of it is a letter, and based on the letter, that is how difficult the card is to obtain, how rare it is, and then there's a dash and there's a number, and then the number that comes at the end is how many times the card can be transformed, right? So it just kind of gives you a backdrop and lets you know what the rules are to the game, so to speak, you know. When Killua and Gon come back out, they wind up seeing one of the other players that came into the game with them at the same time, laying on the ground dead with blood coming out of, you know, face down on the ground. He was dead, and obviously he'd die in the game. He'd die in real life, and it looked like his stomach had exploded. So what winds up happening is they get approached by some, I don't know, some random guy, some stranger, and invites them over and says, I'll tell you about everything and the spell that was on you and this and that. And we find out that Killua and Gon and everybody could feel that there was somebody watching them. And basically what they wind up doing is they go over and have this little meeting with these guys. They find out that these other guys were also sent in by Batera as well. And what has happened is that Greed Island was originally created to be this game that you could go into and that you could have fun with, but it has turned into, because nobody's completed it in 10 plus years, it's turned into a game where there's people in there that actually hunt and try to kill others. You know, you can get cards from others by trading with them, by of course finding them yourself, or by stealing them. And there's a lot of people that have come in there to actually go and kill others, because once they kill them and their book disappears, the cards wind up going back and then they add extra transformation times onto them. So the game has turned into basically this mosh pit of, it's evolved into something that it originally wasn't meant to be, is what happens. So anyway, these guys are trying to get, and that guy Pooh Hat is there, the guy with the Jay Leno chin, and he's wearing the purple suit and everything, and some creepy looking little blonde girl or whatever, and a few other people. And they're basically all being recruited into this thing, and they say, listen, there's like 53 of us. What'll happen is if we figured out that it'll take us 3 months to get everything, all the necessary things that we need, and then wind up with a full set of these cards and complete the game. And 50 billion Jenny would be split amongst all of us, but that's still roughly less than $1 billion a piece, and certainly much better than trying to go off on your own. They're kind of doing like the strength in numbers type of thing, especially because they talk about, you know, that guy that had his stomach exploded was the victim of this guy called the Bomber, somebody that actually used their Nen within here. So during the course of the episode too, we also see a real quick, you know, scene with the Phantom Troop, and actually Shizuku and Kortopi wind up getting recruited as well to come in, along with was it Finks and Shellnark, I think was the other one, and Feitan we know is in there already. So anyway, we know there's going to be some shit that's going to go down with that. But really what this episode for me served, the purpose it served, obviously was to explain some of the intricacies of the game and to give you an idea of this game that you're inside of. It's this living, breathing game, but there is still some rules, and there are some things that you can do with the cards. I think they said there's 40 different types of spell cards, and certainly like the one that was placed on Killua is a trace spell, so this guy can go and see where Killua is at any point in time until he leaves the game. So a lot of times people will wait for the players by the entrance to the game, cast a spell on them like that, and then take off. And then when they go and they see they can trace them, they see that the player collects a good card or a rare card, they'll come and they'll try to steal it from them, you know. So again, like I said, the other thing that I really got from this was really strengthening and solidifying the friendship between Gon and Killua. Because what winds up happening is that after Gon listens to everything, he gets up and he's just like, you know what, I'm sorry, but we gotta go, I'm not doing it. Or I gotta go, I'm not doing this. So he leaves, and Killua's like, you heard what the boss said, and he takes off. But then when they're walking later on, and Killua's talking to him and saying, why did you do that? Gon said, listen, first of all, Gon is still, he's like got blinders on, man. And he's still, and this is why I hate his father so much, because kids, even when they have shitty parents, they're happy to just have something because they don't know anything else. So even if they have somebody that's really shitty and never around and never does anything, doesn't care about them, drinks, beats them, whatever, a lot of times they still go and have this love and adoration for him because they know nothing else. Gon doesn't know what it's like to have a father, so he just desperately wants to go and meet up with him. He doesn't care that the guy is a complete piece of garbage, and basically just went and put him in a life or death situation just because he thought it would be fun and wanted to show off his game. Gon's like, this isn't what the game was made for. It was originally made for people to come in and have fun. So his whole thought process in this is that I'm not going to join up with others because it's evolved into something that it wasn't originally meant to be. And that's because of the players within it, not because of the people who actually created it. So it's almost like it's a slap in the face to his daddy who created the game, you know, or partly created or whatever. But what I like, though, is that Gon and Killua had helped to strengthen their friendship. We saw that no matter what, you know, Gon thanks Killua for coming in here to help him in this game, following him along on this journey, you know, to help him find his father. And Killua mumbles to himself, no, I should be thanking you, because in Killua's mind, having a friend in Gon and kind of getting him away from that just sadistic, just cold assassin family that he was in was really... almost like, hey, you saved my life, you know what I mean? You took me out of this misery that I knew, and that's all I knew. And now I'm seeing that there's something more, and that friendship is something that to be cherished and to be loved. So those were the things that I got from, you know, from this particular episode especially, and it helped to fortify that for me to show how strong Gon and Killua's relationship has become over these first 60-something episodes of the anime here. So very good stuff. It winds up ending off, though, with the creepy little girl, and I say creepy just because she sort of just looks like she's kind of following around, spying on him. She gets these little pigtails and looks like she's about 12 years old. And she's following them around and says that basically she's just, she kind of overhears and sees what's going on about their friendship and everything, and then she goes and says, I'm going to follow them around, I'm going to mess with them. And that's how the episode ends off, you know. They deduce that they need to go and obviously, you know, we're going to go and search for some of these items, I'm assuming. Maybe go to this, town of magic. Who knows what they're going to do at this point. I think it's very cool, though, because it's neat being in this virtual world, but actually being in there. It's how a lot of people feel when they get into and play a video game that's very good. They feel like they're really in there. That's why World of Warcraft, you know, people have lost jobs and marriages and everything else over it, and they call it World of Warcraft, because you get into it and you feel like you're in there, like you're in this virtual world, you know. So very cool, though, how it's depicted, and obviously just a neat idea as well for this arc with going inside of a game, using this force, using this Nen that you have. So definitely very cool. That's how the episode ends off. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is really what are your thoughts on the game itself and how everything's been laid out for us, you know, knowing now about the cards and how they're used, and really just how the game has evolved into people actually trying to hurt and kill each other, which wasn't the original intention, or at least seems like it wasn't the original intention of the creators of the game when it came out 10+ years ago. So let me know what your thoughts are on that, the game, the card system, and everything that was explained in this episode in the comments down below. Feel free to hit that thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
So I did this quick sketch over here to show all of you out there that thought I was hating on Pakunoda when I was actually just kind of goofing around in my reviews, that she actually is one of my favorite characters of the Phantom Troop. And of course, despite the nose, I still am a lover of breasts. Remember to check out my other channels, gaming channel, the television channel, as well as follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.